Hey guys, it is Sunday. It's about 1:27. It's the 18th of May. It's the last week of school, so I thought an easy YouTube video will be very nice and very helpful this week for me and my schedule, so I can just read these questions and answer them for you. Now this video is probably going to be a little bit longer than I anticipated because I got a few more questions than I thought I was going to get. So, but that's okay. Before I start this video, there are 4 people I would like to thank so very much. So these people I've gotten to talk to. I talk to these people randomly throughout my time through the week. So thank you to Kat, Alana, Eva, Michelle. They have been such a light. Like Michelle, they call her Mama Michelle on Refined Vibes. To me, she's just Michelle. She's there when I need advice. She's there when I just need someone to listen. She's always like just been there. Kat is the main one. Like when I first joined Laurie's Zooms and stuff, I was the quiet one. I didn't talk a whole lot. I would have looks, and I think she was one of the first ones to catch on, like, that's just me. And so she started, like, talking to me, started seeking me out, and so then we kind of, like, traded numbers one day, and then, like, I talked to her, if not every day, every other day. Then you have Alana. Alana's one of my biggest supporters besides the 2 emotional ones. She buys my eyes. She's bought stitch markers. Then Eva, I finally got to meet her in person last September, October. Not last September, October. I got to meet Eva this past March. So that was very nice. She's a younger girl, but I mean that doesn't matter to me. You know, most of my people I talk to, Kat and Alana are pretty close to my age. Michelle is a good bit older than I am. She has a daughter that's roughly my age, so like I said, a lot of people call her Mama Michelle. They revolve around her. And then Eva is about 7 years younger than I am, which that's just the gap between us. So it's very nice to be able just to have people I can text and I can talk to and just hang out with, and out of the people I've met through the community, those 4 have me on just about any social media they could think of if they wanted to. I know personally I have Michelle and Kat on Facebook. I have all 4 on Instagram. All 4 have my cell phone number. I don't get on TikTok. When that ban went on, I just forgot TikTok. And then like on Facebook, I think I just have Kat and Michelle, just because I'm not really active on Facebook. If I post something to Instagram, it just goes to Facebook because it's connected with my business page, and that's just what I do. So that way, my family and family members on Facebook can keep up with things. So there's that. That's the intro to this video. This is going to be a Q&A. I hope y'all really enjoy it. So I'm gonna start off with some business questions first. So the first person I'm gonna that asked me a question is Martha _ and _ hooks. She's a very creative and just artistic person. She makes a lot of tapestries. She can crochet a lot faster than some people. She also has a YouTube. I will be linking all of them anyone that asks me a question, if you have a YouTube, I will definitely be linking it below. So her first question is, how long have you been crocheting? I started crocheting June of 2023. So this coming June, so not in about 2 weeks, will be 2 years for me. So there's that. What is your favorite piece you've ever made? Okay, so I'll have to insert a picture at the end of the video and label it as my favorite piece. I made this giant Bulbasaur. I love that character. I love characters in general, making those, because there's so much detail. There's so much everything into it. But that was one piece. I was like, I told myself, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do felt for the eyes. I'm gonna go all out on this one guy. And so I started on Sunday. I just started crocheting. Joanne said had a sale on some yarn, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go pick colors. So my husband helped me pick colors at Joann's. Came home, started working on it on a Zoom. It wasn't Monday night Zoom. It was, I think it was like Sunday. So I just started crocheting, and everybody was like, well, you know, how far along are you? And I said, well, this is the head. And they're like, oh, that's gonna be huge. And of course, when everybody thinks huge, they just think, oh, it's just gonna be big. Oh no, this thing was huge. This thing was like full on toddler size. Like holding it up, it was half my body. So, I mean, it went from my head to my waist. It was a big guy. It was so big, it fit perfectly in a 20-pound polyfill box. So, there's that. But it was the first time I ever tried felt, first time I ever glued anything onto anything, and then I was like, you know, doing all the pieces, and just, I mean, that thing was massive, and it took me 12 hours in total to make that thing, and I was like, good God. So, but with that being said, I learned a lot from that project. So, but that, I'm going to save that for another question, because someone has asked me that. Alright, so that's all from Martha about business. Like I said, we're going into the business questions first. Alana, Cool Beans Crochet. Please go follow her on Instagram. I will link her Instagram down below for you. What is your best advice to a new crocheter? Okay, my best advice to you is when you first start out, don't be sad if what you had in mind is not what your project turned out to be. I remember when I made my first thing, it had holes. I didn't use the right size eyes. I didn't know nothing about hook size and my tension. Like, it was so funky. And I just tell people, like, and new crocheters, like, look, teenagers that come up to me, you know, I work in a school, they come up and they're like, you know, they see me crocheting out in the hallway, like, if I'm just standing there, I'll whip out a project real quickly and work on some stuff, because that gives me 3 minutes. And, or like, I'll be sitting at my desk when I've got free time and I'll just be crocheting, and they're like, you know, like, how do you do that? Like, how do you not get sad when it doesn't turn out the way you want to and you have to frog it 2 or 3 times? And I just tell people, I'm like, you know, I don't have an expectation when I make something. I make it, and if I don't like it, then I don't make it again. And that's something else. Like, you can say, okay, take the piece you're working on. If you don't like it, figure out what you need to do to make it to where you do like it. If you have a project and you're like, I'm set out to make it and I want it to look like this. And also know that there are certain things that just don't turn out the way we expect them to. That's my best advice to a new crocheter. But also, if you're new, don't be afraid to get a pattern with a lot of details, because like I said, your biggest thing is you're going to be your biggest critiquer. Like, you're going to critique everything about your first project. We all do. But don't be afraid to, like, if it doesn't come out the way you expect it to, because you're not just going to immediately, like, be perfect. I've been doing this for almost 2 years, and I look at things I was doing a year ago, and I think about how much I've done improved just from learning new techniques, learning things. Progression, I think, is the biggest thing to a person, because what you start out with, I would always suggest, I didn't do this, and I wish I had, keep projects. So, like, when you start, keep your first project. Then write down the day and tag it. Then revisit that day a year later if you're still crocheting. Make it again if you still want it. Or make something better. Like, if you have a new project that's better, make something new. And keep a timeline of your work, and you'll realize, like, dang, this is where I started, but look at where I'm at now. That's my biggest thing to people. Okay, the next question. How much time per week do you spend crocheting? Well, Alana, this varies for me very much so, because Monday through Wednesday, when I get home, I have an hour to crochet until my husband gets home, if I'm cooking. And it depends on what I'm cooking. So until my husband gets home, I'm going to have about 2 hours. So at most, I have 6, and then in the evenings, I have about 2. So probably 24 hours in a week. That's counting weekends, because I don't always get to crochet during the week. But Saturdays, if my husband's not home, I'm literally sitting down crocheting up until he gets home. So, and that's typically about 10 hours. Sunday, I don't do a whole lot of crocheting typically. So for me, it's about 24 hours in 7 days. Which isn't bad. Like I said, I mean, if you divide 24 by 7, you get, it's a little over 3 hours a day. So, which is not bad. Like I said, not bad at all. What is your favorite yarn to use and your least favorite yarn to use? Oh, now this is a tough question. I don't have a preference of yarn, to be fair. Now, but I will say I've not used a lot of acrylic or velvet yarn. I have used velvet yarn on a project. That was one of my things for last year, was to try something out in velvet yarn and just see if I like it. And I did. I had to double strand it to get to the thickness that I liked. Sorry, guys. But that was good. But I would say my least favorite that I've consistently used is Yarn Bee. And it doesn't matter which brand of Yarn Bee, that's my least favorite. My favorite to use would probably be Big Twist Posh. Something about just the texture and the way the project comes out. Posh gives it so much more defined looks. So, but I do use Bernat. I use Big Twist Plush. I use Velvet, Baby Velvet, which I use that mainly for scrunchies. I use Parfait Chunky. I use Hobie. I use Parfait Basic Senile Brights. I use a lot of different yarn. So, but my least favorite is definitely Yarn Bee by Hobby Lobby. And then, like, my favorite is Posh. What is your go-to hook size? If anybody knows me, my go-to hook size is my 4.5 millimeter hook. These are my ones that I use when I'm not, like when I'm traveling or when I'm going to work or whatever. But I do have O-Fire hooks. And with O-Fire, I do have to size down. Or be very intentional with my tension. But even then, I still use my 4.5 over my 4. What do you like to watch or listen to while you crochet? Okay, so like if I'm crocheting, I typically like to have other crocheters in the background. So I have several friends that I like to watch. Some of my main people I watch, and I'm maybe going to say some that are not crocheters. I'm going to give you my top 10. Alright, my first one being, because I'm going to say my friends first. Kat, Michelle, so Kat's Crafty Crochet Corner, Creative Michelle. I hope I said that right, pronounced it right. Martha and Hooks. Those are probably the 3 that I watch. Then I watch Crochet by Jenna. Crochet with Kelsey. I'm trying to think who else do I watch. Crochet wise. Hold on, let me pull up my YouTube. Oh, Naughty and Cook Crochet, Stacy Makes, Old Sew Factory. Those are my 8 crochet people I watch regularly. Those are my top. I could probably do 10, and I probably will. Let me go ahead and say this. Crochet Customs. Who's the other one? Heather from Cottontail Crafts. I watch them. Now there are several more people that I watch. Bobble Stitch Queen's another one that I watch consistently. But then there are 2 people that I watch consistently. Monica Rosette. I'm gonna list her. I watch her a lot. So when I first started out my small business, Haley's Design Studios, I did a lot of sewing. And so I watched her a lot on her recycling materials and stuff. And just like her business and like how she went from non-aesthetic displays to her now aesthetic display that she has. And how she went from having it not cohesive to now it's all like those things that she uses, those stands that she uses. And I just like how like cool and just like oversharing she is. I like how she gives all these business tips and stuff. And you don't have to use these business tips just for sewing like some people think. The advice she gives you, you can use it for anything. Another one I watch consistently is Made by Taylor. So Taylor Rose, I watch her. Like I said, I started out sewing, so I watched her a lot. Our Cherry Corner, I watched them a lot. I remember when she was working out of the garage when I started watching her. That's how far back it goes from watching her. So those are just, you know, some of my people I watch while I'm crocheting. What are the top 3 items you're hoping to make this year that you haven't made before? Okay, so I've got some Pokemon on my list. I am part of that Nerdy Hooker Patreon. Lugia was one of our Patreon months, and it is massive. I cannot wait to make that. But I've got to be able to sit down and just full on out make that. So I'm thinking after my December market, I think I'm going to make that. Well, not my December, my October. Get me some money saved up for my market and buy a yarn. But I may buy the yarn this summer, but that's number 1 is to start Lugia. Now I may not finish it because, like I said, that thing's massive. And I would like to make a little toddler purse this year. I've got some acrylic yarns. I would really like to do that. And the third thing, I have a whole lot of patterns that I've bought that I haven't made before, and like being a part of that Nerdy Hooker's Patreon, I've gotten a lot of patterns from her, and I just haven't sat down and made them because I haven't had the time, nor have I had the yarn. And because with Joanne closing and stuff, you know, we hadn't been really able to get a whole lot of yarn, so I'm waiting on that situation to, like, where are we going to get our yarn now, because there's a certain color in something, and I'm waiting to see if that's going to be brought back. Because I need green fur yarn, and I'm waiting to see if Big Twist's favorite fox yarn is going to come back. Faux yarn is going to come back. So that's it. It's to make some Pokemon. So like let me recap. My top 3 things are to make Lugia, make a toddler purse, and make a different Pokemon that I've not ever made before. Because like I said, I have several to choose from. I'm going to go into this next question. Kind of go out of order because it's going to follow this. I have 2 books that I bought before Joann's was going out of business, or before they even said they were going out of business. And they're Pokemon books, crochet books, so I'm going to do that. So the next question is Blossom Goodies 2010. This is Felicia. She's also got a YouTube channel. Like I said, I'll be linking everybody's YouTube channel down below. Alright, so one of our questions is, do you have any favorite crochet books, websites, or online communities you would recommend? Okay, so we're going to break this question down. So, crochet books, so far, my favorite have been the Pokemon, but that's just because they have a lot of details. I don't have that many crochet books. I have the Knotted Lovies book by Mama May Benny's, and then I have Crochet by Jenna's book. And if I had to decide between those 2, which one I liked, definitely Mama May's Minis. They're Knotted Lovies. I love that book. But I will say I like that book the most because it was the first book I ever got. And that's why I like it. Now, there are several more out there, like Teresa's Crochet Shop. She's got a book. All from Jade's got a couple of books. Like I said, Crochet by Jenna's got a book. I've made several of her patterns, which I will be doing a review on her book. And then let's just crochet communities, online communities that you would recommend. I'm not going to recommend anybody. I'm going to give you my thoughts on some communities I'm with. If you like bigger communities, definitely join like Refined Vibes. If you like that weekly like interaction and stuff like that, that's what I would do. If you're more into characters and that aspect of the crochet community, that Nerdy Hooker's the way to go. I love being a part of her Patreon. I'm not active in her Discord like I want to be because there's just so many people, and because everybody has access to her Discord, I believe. If you pay for it, you have access to it. And so there's just so much going on, and I remember, like, when I get ready to do something, I have to sit down and, like, plan my time. I'm going to look at all that stuff. And so, which I normally do on the weekends. I normally try to catch up and see, like, what I've missed or whatever. I tried to do the Instagram challenges that they were doing, like the weekly challenge posts, and I just got to where I couldn't do them because I wasn't posting accurately. But she's great. Like, her patterns are great. It's worth the money. Another great small one is the Wonder Crochet. Her Patreon is very just small, not how do I say this? It's just very welcoming. That's a new one I've joined. I joined it in December and I really like it. And then a free community I've joined here recently is Cats at Cat's Crafty Corner. She sent me an invite to her Discord, and because I told her I may be cutting back this next year. It really just depends on like scheduling and just all the extra. So that's what I want to do. So there's that. Sorry, y'all, I feel chill. I don't have any websites. I mean, your favorite crocheters typically have a website. Have you ever made anything really unique or challenging? The only thing I've made challenging here lately is a crop top. I would put that at the end of this video. It will be there, and I'll put the creator for that one. That was really challenging. Like I said, I have never made a wearable. It was my first time making something like that. So that was really unique, and it challenged me in different ways on how to read a new type of pattern. So that was neat. What's the most rewarding thing about crocheting for you? Okay, this goes, all of us feel this way, but I didn't realize like how great this felt. I have a girl that was one of my students, and she is my one. She's never to get into trouble. Like, she's never one we have to worry about or anything like that. And so I wanted to surprise her because she had asked me to make her Snoopy, so I did, and then she come back and was like, I called her out to the hallway. She thought she was in trouble, and when I showed her the thing, it said, "You're not in trouble, but here you go." She went to crying, and like the love that she showed for that crochet animal, the amount of like it's just the way she took care of it, that meant the world to me. And like I get grateful kids all the time, but that one in particular really like shook me to the core. Making things for my students has really been the most rewarding thing. To make something for their birthday and for them to act like it's the greatest thing in this world has really been beneficial for me. What's the most time-consuming project you've ever worked on? Do you have any tips on keeping your crochet projects neat and organized? Okay, I'm going to put these two together. Okay, my most time-consuming project has been the Bulbasaur / crochet top. How did I keep that stuff organized when I'm working on a project? Because with Bulbasaur, I had to make so many different pieces while I was putting him together. I would get an old box and leave it by wherever I was sitting. You can get an old box, you can get a bin, a basket, whatever. Put your project in there. And what I would do is actually, if I was going to put 2 or 3 projects in there, I would get a Walmart set, put all my pieces and stuff together in one Walmart set, label it with a tag, and then like I would go in a separate box. I would have the yarn I was working on if it wasn't already attached to that project. And that's how I kept things organized while I was working on things. So that's really my tip on how to do that. Keeping any more tips is just, if you have multiple spaces that you work in, leave one whip where you're going to be at. Or leave your whips where you're mostly spending your time at. So for me, I spend a lot of my time here or in my craft room. And so for little projects that I'm working on, that like I start at night or whatever, or like I start at work and then like I bring it home, I leave it here to work on. But if it's going to be something big and take up a lot of room, I leave it in my craft room. So it's not completely like taking over this whole area. Alright. I'm going to leave Kat's questions for last because she's got a lot. Alright, Tricera_shops. I'm going to do hers and then I'm going to cut it off for the day and come back tomorrow. And you'll have to, we'll catch it and fill in some more questions. What is your favorite crochet project you've ever made? This one, I guess the question keeps getting asked, or like this one project is just for this one type of question. But it is Bulbasaur. That's my favorite project I've ever made. I really enjoyed it. What are your crochet goals for the next year? Is really marketing, social media, and making things I want to make. Not necessarily making things that are market friendly. And that's something I tell people when you come into my booth. I do not have your typical market makes. Now, I have typical $5, $8, $10, $12. I have those typical price ranges on my booth, but they're not your typical market makes necessarily. Have you ever published a pattern? What was it or why not? I actually have 2 patterns that are out. I'm working on my bee. The bees in the works. Um, so the first pattern I ever put out was my spider pattern. I really enjoyed making that. I wanted a spider that would stand up on all 8 legs, and that didn't just have the chaining out and chaining back in up. I didn't want those type of legs on my spider. So that's my first one. My second one is my auto pattern. Just because a lot of people, like when I would go to markets and stuff, were asking about it, and I was like, well, that one's mine. That's my own creation. And they were like, oh, well, are you gonna put it out? Where can I find it when you do put it out? And I was like, those two are both free on my Instagram. I'm thinking about if I ever get a shop, I may remove my spider pattern from Instagram and just leave my octo on my Instagram. But we'll see. That's a different time frame. I've got a few ideas I've been playing around with that this summer I'll be able to, when I don't have any orders or anything, I'll be able to think about what I want. Because I've been trying to make a crab. And there's one that, and like I said, I've got my bee that I make. And there are a few others that I want to make. So. But other than that, those are only the patterns I put out. I will be back on tomorrow. I've got some things to work on and another video I'm still working on. A video just came out today, Sunday, so go watch it. Hey guys, welcome back. It is Monday, so it's part 2 of the Q&A questions. We are still on business questions, so I'm going to pull that up real quick. And we will begin answering questions. Alright. Twisted Stitches Crochets. Her first question is, what is your go-to yarn brand? This is very hard for me. I have several different, I have anywhere from Burnett, Sweet Snuggles Light, Big Twist Plush, Big Twist Posh, all the way from Parfait Chunky to Hubby Bunnies. Yeah, Honey Bunny. So I don't personally have a preference of a go-to brand. I literally, if I'm thinking of a project, I go to which one I have all the colors in. That's how I decide that. Question 2, have you ever used acrylic yarn for amigurumi? No, I have not. I've tried, but I've never finished anything. I got one of those kits one time when I first started crocheting, and I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. So, crochet _creations_by_Abby_. How was your first ever experience with your first market? Okay, so that market, I ended up making a little over $100. It was very low-key. It was not a well-advertised market. Like, I didn't know anything about markets. I paid a $25 fee back in 2023. And so it was very interesting. It gave me a lot of things that I needed to do to fix some things that I could work on, like consolidating my booth, getting everything from laying flat on the table to upright and where like people could actually see it. So there's that. I really don't remember it, to be honest with you, because I've done so many other markets. But I do remember, because I could not take card, because I updated my phone, was a big thing. So, make sure you do card. That was the biggest tip. But it was real, like, low-key, and, you know, it just got me started. And, you know, it showed me what I needed to work on, what things were working for me, what wasn't working for me. So, there's that. Now, that market, I was not crocheting, like, plushies and stuff. I had a few blankets that I hand crochet, and, like, I did a lot of hand sewn and bows and stuff. Which I still do the bows today, but that's the only thing I've kept. Since then, so my first ever market where I actually had crochet stuff at was later that same year, and it was at Natchez. No, I take it back. No. It was at a private school in Clinton. And, you know, it did well, but I think I could have done better. Because, like, I had just my first time ever, like, having crochet pieces. And so, like, my work was not the best at the time. Because, you know, we're always improving in what we do. So, that was a thing. And I also realized then how people view competitors. So, my experience with it is that everybody can sell the same things. It does not need to be oversaturated, I will say that much, just because sometimes the market turnout does not have enough people to support so many of a vendor. Like, if it's a really, like, low-key market, you only need one of every type of vendor. So, there's that from that experience. That girl gave me a dirty look, like, it was rough, and, like, would not talk to me, and it was just very hostile. Which was weird because I had plenty of conversations with that girl beforehand. I'm still a big supporter of hers. I have her on Facebook with her Facebook page. And I keep up with her and I see what markets she's doing. And I just tend to avoid those markets because they just, you know, I don't want to be somewhere where I gotta worry about someone giving me dirty looks. I'm at that point in my life. I'm 27 years old. I could care less what you got going on. You know, we're all here to make people happy with our products. That is it. We're spreading a little joy in the community. So, she asked another question, Abby did. Before crocheting, did you have a different career? Okay, I do not crochet full time. Crochet is still my side hustle, and it will probably always be my side hustle because I love what I do full time. I teach full time, and that is like my heart, my gold. It's just a lot to me. So, okay, hand.made_ish. She asked this question. Have you found a balance between work, crochet, and your day-to-day life? Yes and no. So there are a lot of times, like, I'm a part of a Patreon, Refined Vibes. She does a weekly Zoom. And it got to the point that we were jumping in the lounge and on Zooms almost every day. And me and my husband was like, let me test out the waters and, like, get to know different people, because typically I don't get to see everybody. Well, I get to interact with everybody on Monday night Zooms because there's so many people, which is fine, it's great. But he knows, like, I don't get a chance to, like, if I see someone on there that I haven't had a chance to talk to, I want to get to know them, I'll hop on for a few minutes and get to know them. If there's talking, stuff going on. If there's not, I kind of typically hop out, just because if it's going to be quiet, I'll put on a YouTube video or a movie and just sit and crochet. So, there's that. And so for a while, I wasn't doing enough housework because I was constantly crocheting or on a Zoom or whatever. And so that's been a big deal. Like, I've had to learn how to, like, not get sucked in 24/7. Like, my husband is very, like, I won't get on lounge, but, like, I'll go outside with him and crochet. And he's fine with that. He just would rather me sit with him and just, while I still do what I love. So, in day-to-day life, like, I work full-time, like I said, so crocheting is not my full-time thing. So coming home, like I'll give you my schedule for Monday through Wednesday. Monday through Wednesday, like, I go to work, I come home, I have about 2 hours to myself until my husband gets home. And then once he gets home, we're cooking, we're eating, getting a shower together, talking, spending that time together, because he goes to bed at 8 because he has to get up early. So really it's Sunday night too. So Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. Sometimes Wednesday night it's like that, and sometimes it's not. It really just depends on how long of a day he's had or how long of a day I've had. But that's my schedule for 3 nights of the week. Sunday during the day, if he's off, we go to church, we come home, we might go down to his mom and dad's, we might, do whatever. So, I've learned to not take my crochet everywhere with me. So, day-to-day life depends on your day-to-day schedule. Like, the weekends that he works, if I'm not helping my mama clean her house, because I do help her do that, then I'm at home watching YouTube and just crocheting all day long, or YouTubing all day long, or at a market, or, just whatever. You're balancing day-to-day life with your passions are a lot more difficult when you, I'm trying to think of how to say this. When you do more than just crochet. Like I said, sometimes I crochet 24 hours in a week. That's about 3 hours during the day. Now, of course, that's on a weekend where my husband is at work, or, like, I don't have to do anything, Some weeks it's, like, 10 hours, So, there's that. I really haven't found the balance yet, but that's what I'm doing to find a balance. So, like, I can't answer your question definitely because, like, I'm trying out some things, so I hope that helps. Now, her next question, where do you see yourself in 10 years? With my teaching degree, with a baby, house is fully paid for, still crocheting. I would like to be monetized by YouTube at that point, but we'll see. Okay, the next question is by Jennifer's Creative Corners. What's a question that you've been asked a million times? Like, how long have you been crocheting? Did you make all those plushies? That's actually the two questions I get asked at a market every single time. And I get asked it multiple times a day. You know, I even state the fact beforehand, like, everything you see is handmade by me. I make it all. And then I have people still ask, like, you made all this? Yes, ma'am, I sure did. And so, yes, I get asked those two questions 9 out of 10 times. What's your most and least favorite thing to make? Whew. My most favorite thing to make is characters. My least favorite thing to make right now would be blankets. They just take so long. Okay. So now I'm going to go through cats. This is the questions that Kat asked me about my business. How did you first get into crocheting? Okay, so I bought yarn along like 2022, early 2023. I think it was before that because I was taking it to my work. So it was 2022. And I was just working on something, just trying different stitches, trying my hand at crocheting different things. And then I watched a video from Crochet by Jenna, how to make her octo. Made that, was sold instantly. Like, that's what I wanted to do, that's what I wanted, that's it. Who or what inspired you to pick up a hook? I don't really remember what inspired me to start crocheting. Like I said, one of the first people I ever come across was Crochet by Jenna. Who else did I come across? And there was somebody else. Oh, I forget now who I... And like, I think I did it with one of them hand blankets. Making those hand blankets. I think I did that. That's really what I come across to the people who do the hand blankets. I saw a lot of their videos. And they really inspired me. Crochet by Jenna inspired me and as the fact of amigurumi. So, she's the main one. Person-wise. What does crocheting mean to you personally? Okay, crocheting to me personally means I think I'll have to word this. Bringing joy to myself and giving me comfort in my work and my art and being able to be creative and just when I get home being able to decompress. It's just really a comfort for me more than anything. I really didn't even think about doing a side hustle or anything up until last year. So, like it being like a real big time side hustle. Can you walk us through your process when starting a new project? Okay, so if I find a pattern or if I buy a pattern, the first thing I do is I look at the stitches. Next thing I look at is the yarn that they use and the hook size. Then I compare the yarn that I have and see if I have the colors to make it. Then I look at, is it going to be something that a baby or a little kid might want? Or is it a plushie meant for older kids? So that's the first thing. Secondly, if it's my pattern, I kind of know what I'm doing, but if it's somebody else's pattern, I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't time myself at all. Because I don't want to be looking at a clock, thinking about how fast it takes me. I'm so sorry, y'all, to do something when it's the first time I'm trying it. So I do keep that in effect if it's the first time I'm trying something. You know, a lot of people, when they start something new and it's brand new to you, like you've never tried it before, everybody wants to know like how long it takes you to do it. And I just guess, really. Then secondly, I start thinking, is this a project I might have to frog a lot of things on? Because, you know, some yarns, if you frog it, the yarn wants to unravel or break or... I'm so sorry, y'all. I do not mean to keep yawning on y'all. And then, like, if it's a big project, I work with all the pieces first if I can. Or, like, if the head and the body is one piece and I don't have a lot of color changes, I might just go ahead and knock that out. But if I have a lot of color changes, I always do the legs, arms, tails, spikes, whatever it needs done first. I'll do that first. Then I just start working on it. I will go through my process on how I wrote my pattern. So I made a spider pattern this last year. And I really wanted to know, like, what kind of shape did I want and stuff like that. So I really wanted it to be very simple. I did, because it was my first ever pattern I ever written. I didn't want a whole lot of complicated stitches. So I came up with just increases and decreases in single crochet and crochets around. That's it. I didn't add anything to it, didn't make it complicated or anything like that. And I made the head and the body one piece. So I made the body style just going on with seeing how big it was. And I realized, like, okay, the head is too big for the body that I have. I like the body. I really didn't want to make it any bigger. And so I wanted to make it smaller. The head. So I made the head, like I took out a row of crochets around and took a round of increases out. And then I made that. And so that's how I did that. Then I started looking at the eyes and stuff like that. I did have, like, when I got the basic stuff written up, I sent it out to pre-testers. And I'm like, hey, how does this look? Can you test it out for me? Is it giving you the shape that it needs to? Like, are you able to do everything? And then that told me, like, they were putting the legs out sideways when it should be up underneath. So then I had to make sure I included that in the pattern. And just, you know, it gave me all the little notes and the little details and stuff that I needed to add. So that was a big thing for me, was going through that process of knowing what I wanted the shape to come out. Because I had an idea in my head. And, like, I kind of drew it out on paper. But then, like, I needed to put it together. And so, like, as I was doing it, I was writing it down so that way I could remember what I was doing. So then that way I could go through it, edit, and pick out what I wanted to keep and what I didn't want to keep. Or if I needed to change something, I could change it. Her next question, where do you usually find inspiration for your patterns or color choices? I typically look on Pinterest and Instagram for my inspiration. Now, I do have, like, some crochet friends that do give me inspiration, but majority of the time, that's what I do. Do you prefer following patterns or creating your own designs? I haven't made a whole lot of patterns, so still following patterns for certain things. Certain things I can kind of do on my own, but there's still a lot that I need to work on. What are your most have tools or favorite yarns? Okay, so a new favorite of mine is Premier Basic Chenille Brights. That's one of my top favorites now. My other favorite or go-to yarn, I would guess you would call it, I don't really have a go-to yarn, but another one that I just really, really like is Big Twist Posh. Must-have tools. I recommend getting you a good pair of scissors. Walmart has a pair of their fabric scissors, but they're so sturdy. They're metal gold scissors. Now they're very expensive for scissors, but they are so good. Oh, I love them. The next handy tool I would say you have to have or must have is Amy sticks or just sewing needles. You know, the long needles that you can get from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, your local fabric yarn store. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave off today, though. Another must-have is stitch markers and a sewing needle. So I will pick back up with cats tomorrow. See you then. Hey guys, it's Tuesday. This will be last day of the Q&A. I'm wrapping it up with Cat's Crafty Corners. She left a lot more business questions and some more personal questions for me. I saved her for last because she's really like one of my best friends. Like, I've never met her in person, but like I Zoom with her all the time. As you've seen on YouTube, I go live with her. Between her and Alana and Eva, I really couldn't ask for better friends. Of course, they don't live by me, so like, you know, that's a whole other thing. So I'm trying to get my hair the way I want it. There we go. Okay, yeah, and I did straighten my hair today, so like, I feel good. Okay. Anyways. There we go. Alright, so her next question. Is there a technique or stitch you love using the most? I would probably say bobble stitch is probably my favorite to use for like feet and stuff. Because I really haven't tried using like a triple bobble or a popcorn stitch or a puff stitch. Like, I haven't used any of those really. So I can't say that those are my favorite. So, alright. Sorry, my screen went black. Okay, here we go. Are there any techniques you find especially challenging or avoid? Not that I avoid any, but I have not quite figured out how to do the popcorn or the puff stitch. Those are the most challenging for me right now. What's the most difficult, ambitious project you've completed? My crop top. Because like, I've never made something personal, and so the fact that I made it personal and like it fit and it looked great, that was something like I was like, oh wow. So that's probably one of my most ambitious that I will say. Is there a project you're particularly proud of and why? Same thing goes with my Bulbasaur and my crop top that I made. I know I keep going back to them, but those are just like, they're the top. The Bulbasaur is the best amigurumi I've ever made, and then the my crop top is something I'm especially proud of. because it's something for me that I created, and I don't have to say like, hey, I can't, like I've crossed it off my list. Have you ever had a project go completely wrong? Not really. Not with crochet. Hey guys, okay, so I know in the last clip I said it was going to be the last day of questions, but I did not finish out Kat's business questions for me. So I'm going to quickly do those, and then there will probably be a part 2. And I'm going to do like a little short one on her personal questions. I think I had a new comment too. So let's just get into it. What advice would you give to someone who just started out with crocheting? Ooh. I don't really know what advice I would give, like experience-wise, but something I wish someone would have told me is that just because the label suggests what hook size does not necessarily mean the hook size you're supposed to use. As I go back and I look at some of the yarn I've used with some of the size hooks I use, and I was like, ugh. Like, there's holes in it, my tension's off. So that's some of the advice. And also I would tell them, you know, if you really want to start out crocheting, find something that you want to make for yourself and learn how to do that. I think that's what started me, is that I wanted to make something, didn't know what I wanted to make, so I ended up making something and it just did not turn out right. So, you know, and also like giving some tips about what all you need would also be very beneficial. Like, I would tell a beginner not to start out with Parfait Chunky. I would probably recommend Baby Blanket Bernat or the Premier Basic Chenille, because Parfait Chunky sheds really bad. Big Twist Plus is just really big and bulky. But yeah, that's what advice I would give to someone who just started out crocheting. Are there any common mistakes you see beginners make? One thing I've seen from somebody I know, and I don't know how to tell her, is that most people do not know, if they don't like watch a video, if they're just reading a pattern, they don't realize if it's wrong side out or right side out. That is one of the most common mistakes I've seen people make. And you can tell once you start crocheting, like what's the right side, what's the wrong side, for the most part. Now some people still don't understand like that. You know the difference because the right side's going to look neater, it's going to look smoother. The wrong side is just messy. You can see the loops and it's just doesn't look as great. What tip or trick you wish you had learned early on? You learned earlier. I don't have a tip or trick. That one I don't have an answer for. If you could only crochet one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? Pokemon. Characters. Definitely. What's the weirdest or most unexpected thing you've ever crocheted? Weirdest or most Hold on. Kat, What's the weirdest and the most unexpected thing you've ever crocheted? It's your peen pattern. I never thought I would make one of these. Do you listen to music, watch TV, or enjoy silence while crocheting? I'm kind of all of them. Sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I'm watching TV. Really depends on what's on. I'm not really a silence person, but now I'll get zoned in and won't hear anything, and then it just, I zone out. I'm like, oh dang, the video has stopped playing, or it's time for to select the new TV show, like realize like it stopped. Are there any crochet trends or styles you're excited about right now? No, because I'm not a trend person. I don't follow trends. How do you see your crochet journey evolving in the future? So that is going to be where I'm crocheting, but I'm strictly going to hand painted safety eyes. I feel like they bring a plushie to life, and that's what I use. So, and I'm trying out colors, I'm trying out different paints and stuff. Branching out, I'm using this resin for that. So that's where I see my crochet journey doing. It's also doing more pattern reviews, doing roundups, and just trying out different content. I see my crochet journey going from where I was just crocheting full time to now I paint safety eyes, I make Amy sticks, I'm doing markets, I've got my own little storefront. That's where I see this journey going. How has being part of the crochet community influenced you? It's given me a lot of relief. Coming home, being able to relax and just do something creative. It really just helps me out. Now I will say that there is some drama in the crochet community. I don't necessarily get into it. So there's that. But other than that, excuse me. Other than that, and it just made me realize there's several people that do this. Okay, sheep and Willow's gifts. I don't think I read this question. This is Caroline from the Refined Vibes Patreon. Do you like to make wearables sometimes or just amigurumi? It's mainly amigurumi with a few wearable projects. So, but that is it. I'm going to save the personal question that Kat asked me. I'm going to do that in a separate video. Because it talks more about me. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I know it was very long. I did not expect to have so many questions. Kat asked 21 questions herself. So, but yeah, I really have enjoyed doing this Q&A with y'all. If y'all could do me a big favor, we're on our way to 100 subscribers. If you could, subscribe, hit the button that looks like this, and leave me a comment on something that I've said that, no, let's even do this. Put your favorite yarn brand down below. That's what I want everybody to comment. Which is your favorite yarn brand? Because I don't have a favorite, so I want to see who's everybody else's favorite. But for now, I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.